Good afternoon, students. Today, I have to start the new chapter Origin and Evolution of Life. Now, this chapter measure that the some portion is deleted. So, you have to see this above. I will written 5.1 to 5.5. It is deleted, and 5.7 to 5.12 it is deleted. So only two bits are 5.6 and 5.13. These two in your portion. Now first you have to start for the origin and evolution of life. What is meant by evolution? Evolution is the gradual changes of organism. Origin and evolution of life. This is the main gradual changes of organisms. Now, actual start for the 5 point. Just wait. Now we shall start the actual study about the. Just wait. Now see this 5.6 modern that is the synthetic theory of evolution. This bit that is the 5.6. Here it is the result of true synthesis of all biological disciplines. The mainly affect that is the genetical, ecological, anatomical, geographical, paleontological, etc. These are the pursuits to explain the mechanism of evolution. Also, due important was given to both the maturation and mutations and natural selection. These two mainly for the synthesis of synthetic theory of evolution affects mutation. The changes can be occurs in organisms, as well as the natural selection in environment that is the itself effect for the selection of the organisms. They can be changes can be occurs. Few scientists can be discovered. They are main that the contributions of modern theory of evolution. Stebbins in this book discuss 5 key factors such as gene mutations in the chromosomes, structure and number, genetic recombinations, natural selection and reproductive isolation contributes in the evolution of new species. So these are the factors mainly affecting for the changes of the organisms. They are the genetic mutations, chromosomes that is the structure changes, number of the genetic recombinations, natural selections as well as the reproductive isolations can be effect for the changes of the organisms. So they can naturally selected. All individuals of the some species constitutes a population. The populations occurs in the small groups of interbreeding populations. So interbreeding same species, that is the interbreeding can be takes place and some changes can be occurs. Such small that is the interbreeding groups of populations is referred as Mendelian populations. The total genetic information, the encoded in sum total of genes in a Mendelian populations is called gene pool. So total, that is the genetic information, can be encoded. It is effect for that is the gene pools. It is called as the Mendelian population in is called gene pool. Simple gene pool means the total number of genes of all individuals in a population. The gametes produced by individual furnish a pool of genes of next generation from which the genes will be selected. So it is the mainly select for that is the genes, the ending that is the codes, it is effect for that is the changes can be occurs in the populations. The migration of populations effectively alter the gene pool. So migration also the changes can be occurs one place to another place. The gene also the changes can be occurs in the organisms. They are the effect. The gene pool also the change due to that is the replacement of one generation by other in the Mendelian, that is the population. Thus, any change in the gene pool affects population. So, gene it is changes because it is the migration of the population. That time also affect what it is the gene pool. Genes are arranged linearly on the chromosome, having definite positions are present. According to the Mendel, every gene that influence a trait has two alleles. The proportion of an alleles in the gene pool to the total number of alleles at given locus is called gene frequency. That is the genes that is the frequency can be expressed. Modern synthetic theory comprises 5 main factors that are broadly divided into 3 main concepts like genetic variations, causes due to that the various aspects of mutations, recombination and migration, natural selection, isolation of for explaining the evolution of species. So mainly genetic variations can be occurs as well as the natural selection. Nature itself selected the changes can be occurs. Isolation, these are also the effect. Genetic variation. In genetic variations, the changes in gene and gene frequencies. The mainly changes of the gene and gene frequency is known as genetic variation. So genetic variation are caused by the following factors. Now first it is the gene mutation. Here gene mutation means mainly sudden permanent heritable change is called mutation. Sudden, that is the permanent change can be occurs in the generations, that is called the mutation. Changes can be takes place. Mutation can occur in the gene, in the chromosomes and chromosome number. It is mainly affected. Mutation that occurs within the single gene is called point mutation. Just wait. That is called as a point mutation or gene mutation. This leads to that is the changes in the phenotype of organism, causing what it is called a variation. That means mainly changes of the phenotypic changes. Gene mutation, that time that is the genes point of mutation can take place, and phenotypic changes can be occurs in the organism. Phenotypic, that means outward appearance can be changes. That is the variation can be takes place. Second is the genetic recombinations. Here in sexually reproducing organisms during gamete formation. So already you have to know about the gamete formation. Changes of genetic material occurs between non-sister chromatids of homologous chromosomes is called crossing over. That time of the homologous chromosomes can be chromatids internal between the genetic material. They can be changes that crossing do. This is called as the crossing over. It produces new gametic combinations which result in variation. Fertilization between opposite mating gametes leads to various, that is the recombinations, resulting into the phenotypic variations, causing change in the frequencies of alleles. Here mainly that is the after that is the combinations of the gametes, that time that is the changes can be occurs in the genetic combinations of the male as well as the female. That time that is the recombination can be takes place in the internal genes. Next, third, that is the gene flow. Gene flow is the movement of genes into or out of a population. Gene movement may be in the form of a migration of organisms or gametes, dispersal of a pollen, or the segments of a DNA transformation. Gene flow also alters gene frequency, causing evolutionary changes. Here gene flow, that is the movement of the gene in or out of the population. Gene movement may be in the form of migration of organisms. That time also it is the changes, so it is called as the gene flow. Next, fourth one, genetic drift. Any random, that is the fluctuation, that means alternation in the alleles frequency occurring in the natural population by pure change is called, that is the genetic drift. For example, when the size of the population is severely reduced due to the natural disasters like that is the earthquakes, floods, fires, etc. These are also the effect for the genes. Cause it is the elimination of particular alleles from a population. The smaller population have greater chances for genetic drift. It will result in the change in the gene frequency. So genetic drift is also an important factor for evolutionary changes. Next is the chromosomal aberrations. The structural morphological changes in chromosomes due to the rearrangement is called chromosomal aberrations. It changes the genes arrangement, order of that is the sequence, the genes that is the changes that results in the variation. So chromosomal aberrations occurs due to Now next study the deletion, loss of genes from chromosomes. It is called the deletion. Loss of the gene from chromosomes. It is deletions. Next study the duplication. Genes are repeated or the doubled in number of chromosomes. So here also the duplication or replications of the chromosomes, they also mainly affect. Inversion, a particular segment of chromosomes is broken and gets reattached to the same chromosome in a inverted position due to the 180-degree the twist. There is no loss or gain of genes complement of the chromosomes. It is the inversion. Last study the translocations, transfer of a part of chromosomes or a set of genes to a non-homologous chromosomes is called translocation. It is affected naturally by that the transposons present in the cells. So see this diagrams, deletion, loss of that is the chromosomal segment, particular that is segment is lost, that is the effect for the changes can be occurs. Duplication, that time also repeat a segments, and inversion, reverse that is the segments can be takes place, and third that is the fourth one, translocations. These are the chromosomal aberrations you can occur. So next lecture we shall start for the natural selection and different the aspect. Okay, thank you.